What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. This video, unscheduled, but we got the move updates for the next season. I'm sure you've probably seen a video from the content creators that are normally on top of this stuff, but I got here, we were live on the stream from Worlds at the end of day one. It is currently 3 in the morning. I'm recording this video for y'all to kind of break down some of the changes that are coming. And right below me down here, you will see the list of the changes. I'm going to have them start playing right now. But the first one up on top before it starts scrolling, the switch timer in Pokemon Go Battle League is going to be changing from 60 to 50 seconds. That's not a lot of it, on paper, but 10 seconds can make the difference of being stuck in a bad matchup for just long enough to be able to make a difference. You could start switching around your Pokemon a little bit more often, trying to make some plays and make the game a little bit less alignment dependent. Not amazingly, a large amount, but they are going to be evaluating the switch timer, and they say in a little asterisk down underneath there, so they're going to change it or reevaluate for the next season and onward. So this is kind of a trial basis. They may revert it, they may make it bigger or smaller, who knows? But anyway, we're going to go through the attack changes here. I just want to share the ones that I have that I've seen here. So Rock Slide is going to be dropped in power. It's going from 75 to 65 power. Also check out the end of the watch party stream that we did. I did a full on-stream breakdown of like all the different moves that are kind of like these moves and what they may be like when they get changed. So if you want a more detailed first breakdown beyond this video, go check out that end of that stream. It was pretty incredible. So Rock Slide's going to be getting a nerf here. Wing attack and counters energy gains are going to be nerfed. This means that wing attack will now be less energy than the moves that it's currently a clone of, being Powder Snow, Vine Whip, and other moves of that same stats. That's going to be, if I can find it here, we're going to take a look at these are the charge moves. I have to change this. I was looking at charge moves before I started recording. We're going to take a look at this sort by turns and come down here. So some moves that are going to be kind of like wing attack and counter, right? I think that counter will become a poison jab clone, being 7 for 7. It's currently 8 damage or 7 damage for 8 energy. Well, I think it will be changed to 7 damage for 7 energy. It's going to make it slightly less good, but all those pacing counts from counter are going to be very different now, so it's going to take longer for Pokemon to reach their moves from either one of these moves. So there are other changes that are coming further down here. Dig is also getting a drop in power, so they are directly nerfing Gligar, and most other Dig users really only use it as ground coverage anyway, so it doesn't feel like it's going to be that big of a difference. I feel like Swag Tips is probably vibrating in excitement as Parabolic Charge is finally getting the buff that it deserves here, as it's going to be given a slight power boost. Its energy cost is going to be decreased, so it's probably going to be the same energy as Discharge, but slightly more damage, and also increase the user's defense by 1 stage with a chance to do so. Body Slam is being nerfed here. It's basically being taken down to Dragon Claw as a clone of Dragon Claw, as Body Slam is currently 60 damage, Dragon Claw is 50, so it'll be the same as it'll be the same. But this is directly nerfing a lot of Pokemon that use Body Slam, but also it's really starting to show that they're trying to decentralize Vigoroth in the limited formats. I feel like they finally listened and they realized that Vigoroth, between that Body Slam nerf and the counter nerf, Vigoroth will no longer be like the best Pokemon in every limited format it's in. And Greedent's also getting a slight nerf here as well. Swift's energy cost is being decreased. It's currently at 40. So it will now become 35. So it's basically going to be slightly, so it's 40, it's 55 damage for 35 energy it will be. So that means it's going to be just slightly a notch under the old Body Slam, a slight notch above the new Body Slam. And Swift is essentially just going to be used on Wigglytuff at the moment. If we go ahead and take a look over here at our rankings, we're just going to pull up rankings and just type in @Swift. This is, and you can do this in PvPoke right now until somebody puts up like a new version of it or something. You can check and see what wants Swift. And honestly, most of the stuff that has Swift, like Uxie would be interesting with Swift, I think. Wigglytuff is the only other thing that really cares about it. It's going to have the same pacing now with Charm as Alolan Ninetales does to Weather Ball. It's going to be 6 charms to the Swift. And that's just giving it a little bit more consistent damage. Not that, you know, Wigglytuff needs a buff by any means. It could honestly use a nerf. I hate that thing. But everything else here that has Swift really doesn't care about it too much. But one of the big differences that's being changed here is Mudshot. There is no move that is currently 4 power for like 8 energy, right? So the closest thing that we would get would be 4 power, would be for 4 damage here. We might be encroaching on something like Vine Whip is 5 for 8, right? So if they're going to decrease the energy of Mudshot, it has to be less than 9. So 8 would be the expectation, could be even 7. And 4 power would be just 1 more damage than it used to be. So it'll be just like a slightly lesser good version of things like, you know, Vine Whip, Powder Snow. Moving down the list here though, Mudshot, obviously so many meta Pokemon have Mudshot, so you can see that this kind of energy generation, the pacing on Mudshot being changed will be very different. Now we are getting a buff to Mudslap, which we are going to cover here, but real quick, Future Sight is getting a slight nerf. The only thing in the meta that actually cares about Future Sight is really just Cresselia. Nothing else really uses it. So Fire Spin also getting a slight power buff. I said it again. Buff or boost here. Steel Wing and Metal Claw are very interesting to me. So I want to talk about Steel Wing and Metal Claw for just a moment here. Steel Wing is really, really good now for Skarmory and Empoleon. And think about nothing else that has it really cares to use it unless it's somebody trying to play spicy. You know, Talonflame, Pidgeot, and Dragonite are the only things that come to my mind. And I could even check these rankings again. And you can, again, this is stuff that you can do as well. Type in Steel Wing here. Skarmory and Empoleon. That's the only 2 meta Pokemon that actually care about this. And also, I want you to keep in mind, as we type in Metal Claw here, Empoleon is still on this list. Registeel's on this list. I don't care to have Registeel on this list, but it's something that's not lock-on. And one of the big things that I've complained about Registeel for so long is that lock-on is its only damage, or lock-on is its only move that it can use. If we give it Metal Claw, it actually becomes like other Pokemon again. You have fast move pressure. It doesn't charge nearly as quickly as Lock-On, but it still gives you the ability to play it like a regular Pokemon and not just something with Lock-On, which is something that I feel like Registeel will enjoy having that option to do. Metal Claw on Empoleon. If you look at this, energy generation on Metal Claw. So let's take a look at the current stats for Metal Claw. Metal Claw is currently 5 damage for 6 energy, whereas Steel Wing right now, I know the stats for it, it's 7 damage for 7 energy. So if you increase the energy generation for Metal Claw at least by 1, you're immediately getting the same energy gains from Metal Claw that you got from Steel Wing, and that by itself replaces Steel Wing on everything that needed to use it, especially Empoleon, while also getting rid of Skarmory to a point where maybe Skarmory is not as dominant in the Great League meta, which I think is a fantastic thing. I feel like the changes that have been done here were done in a very good, articulate way that wasn't just, let's nerf a Pokemon, let's nerf a Pokemon that now affects so many other things, right? There is a removal of Skarmory, or at least a very huge, like, I don't know what the word is, but English is hard at 3 in the morning, guys. Come on. But you're basically really de-incentivizing people from wanting to use Skarmory, right? And so giving Metal Claw the same energy generation, or maybe even better than Steel Wing, is already huge, because look at the list of Pokemon that use Metal Claw here again. Let's see, right? Registeel, Empoleon, Galarian Stunfisk, Alolan Sandslash, Ferrothorn, Excadrill, Golisopod, Berserker. I was almost gonna say Ursaluna, but it's Ursaring. Even Genesect. There's so many things here that can learn Metal Claw that suddenly become very interesting by having this move at a usable way. Look, even Bisharp, right? Metang, Lairon, Kingler, like there's Pokemon here that like are, again, it's like Zionic was always saying, everything is one move update away from being meta. Metal Claw is one of those moves that is very terrible right now, but is on a lot of Pokemon, and we very might well see a surge or an uprising of a lot of these Pokemon and become relevant in the meta as it will be. So I love this update to Metal Claw and the coinciding nerf to Steel Wing as well. Trailblaze is getting a slight or just a decrease to its energy cost. I think that I noticed this the most when we were playing Berserker in the Fossil Cup, and it just felt like if Berserker's pacing to Trailblaze was just a little bit better, it would have been a lot more consistent, like into Lantern and things like that. So Trailblaze getting a slight decrease to its energy means that the Pokemon that use it will get to it a little bit quicker, and they have a lot of Pokemon that have Trailblaze, right? Like Greedent, Berserker is another one that has it, right? Skuntank is something that has Trailblaze. There's a lot of Pokemon that have Trailblaze that could make good use out of it. So Zap Cannon is getting the chance to lower the opposing Pokemon's attack decreased. I assume it's probably going to go down to 50 because it's currently at 66.666667, whatever you want to call it. So instead of it being a 2/3 chance, it's probably going to go down to 50%, which I know y'all, if you know me, I hate coin flips. I think that they're ridiculous, but we make do, right? Zap Cannon being a 50%. It's, again, Registeel is getting a slight nerf, but the problem here being is that everything else that likes to use Zap Cannon for fun now has to suffer for it, right? And that's just the thing that I hate, that they even gave Registeel Zap Cannon in the first place, but we'll just kind of, deal with it. The next two things I love, Smackdown and Razor Leaf are both having a decrease in their power by 1. This is going to hopefully help disincentivize people from wanting to use D-Gen, Basti, Vic Cores, things like that. Astonish is being bumped up from 9 to 12 power. And the thing I want to talk about Astonish is so Force Palm is currently 13 damage for 10 energy. Astonish will be now 12 damage for 10 energy. So it'll be just a step below Force Palm, which is already a pretty strong move. Fairy Wind is going to be given a single point of power to its increase in power, and Poison Sting will also be given the same buff to its power as Fairy Wind. But I want to take a minute and talk about Karate Chop, because Karate Chop's energy generation is going to be increased, and I want to talk about it because if you look on the list of moves that were already here, Karate Chop is a clone of Quick Attack, Powder Snow, Vine Whip. It's currently 5 damage for 8 energy. If they increase it, think about having 9 energy generation, like the current Psycho Cut, Mud Shot, Thunder Shock. Those energy generation counts for a 5 base damage move, whereas Poison Sting and Psycho Cut and those moves all have a current 3. So it's 2 more damage for the same energy on fighting type. This is the new counter, everybody. This Karate Chop and Force Palm are replacing counter in the meta, and I think that's great because Karate Chop's not going to have the busted fast move pressure that it has now, that counter has, but it's going to give you even better energy generation, which is again giving us a more skillful pacing, based sort of game plan. I think that one of the nice things about this move update so far is that it's really incentivizing people to play spammier sort of moves. And that also goes along with the new switch timer being 50 seconds. I feel like this is going to allow people to eat that switch timer up and make switches and try to make things happen in a way that they weren't able to before. Mudslap is being increased to 12 power and energy generation is being increased. This looks to me like it's being made a clone of Astonish. Poison Sting getting that single point boost in its power. And then we're going to have Psywave being given a slight energy generation increase. Now, Psywave currently is sitting in the, in the pits at 3 for 2. They'll probably make it 3 for 3 to make it a Lick, Water Gun, Tackle clone. Rollout getting 3 additional points of damage to its base power. Sucker Punch is one I would like to talk to you guys about as well right now. Sucker Punch is going to be 8 power. It currently gives the same energy as the current counter. So counter pre-nerf and Sucker Punch post-nerf have the same exact stats. So Sucker Punch is going to be a really strong move, and they're incentivizing us to use Sucker Punch because there's a lot of things in this meta that learn Sucker Punch that we have in the game currently. Right? Sucker Punch, that's going to be Trevenant. All right. maybe not as many things as I thought. Okay, maybe I'm thinking of a different move right now. But like Cacturn could see a bump in play. Lycanroc doesn't need counter anymore, right? You have something with the same stats, but you know, Cacturn. Spiritomb though is getting heavily, getting some heavy interest from the meta devs over at Niantic right now. Sky Attack is once again being nerfed. It's going to be given an extra 10 increase to its power, but the energy cost is also going up, and it was already 50 or 55 energy, so it's going to be made into basically a move that nobody wants to use. Surf, one of my favorites. Y'all know I hate Lantern. This is how you nerf Lantern. My thought was initially make Spark a less energy generation, so drop the energy gen by 1, but instead what the team has done here is they've increased the power of Surf by 10, but they've also increased the energy cost, making sure that the pacing to get to Surf is much, much worse. Now this does harm other things that use Surf, so Jellicent and Jellicent comes to mind here, Tapu Fini comes to mind here, but and Marshtomp also come to mind here, but in Lapras as well. Slowbro and the Slow family having that access to Surf as their community day move. This kind of feels bad for all those things, but overall, I think that if the thought is to get rid of Lantern, I think that that's a more than fine trade-off in my opinion. Bone Club is getting an increase by 15 power. That's going to boost up Alolan Marowak as it got a Fire Spin, also got a slight power boost and buff keep getting mixed up in my head, so I keep saying boof. The power boof. Brutal Swing is now also being created into a Swift clone. 35 damage, because it's already 40, right? Brutal Swing's already 40, so it can only go down to 35, and they're going to make it 55 damage. So it's going to be a new Swift clone. Nightshade is going to be given a power increase from 60 to 80, and it will also have its energy cost decrease. So let's take a look at Nightshade as is right now and see what it might look like, because this is one that I haven't actually looked into. So currently Nightshade is 60 damage. If we can find it, it's down here. I know it is. 60 for 55. It's a very poorly, not very efficient move. So if the energy cost is going to go down, let's assume it goes down to 50, and it'll be 80 for 50. Okay, let's see what else in here is 80 for 50. Synchronize, Sludge Bomb is also an option. We have Power Gem also being slightly tweaked here to 85 power, and its energy cost will be decreased. So could also be something like 85 for 55 or 85 for 50. But what is the other one? I think Scald was a move. Liquidation being 70 for 45, right? So there's some parallels that we can take. But 80 power with Nightshade, you know, Niantic likes to make moves that are clones of other moves, so we may very well see Nightshade become 80 for 50, or 80 for 55, which would be a serious increase. Now it's not going to be quite to the level that Shadow Ball is, because Shadow Ball is 100 for 55, so I would have to expect it to be maybe 80 for 50 in order to be kind of like not as on the same level as Shadow Ball, because Shadow Ball is not being affected in this update. But Power Gem is going to be another move that some Pokemon learn, like Sableye, that'll be slightly improved here. Shadow Punch is being given a power boost from 40 to 55, so Dusknoir is a big one. Also Haunter, and Dusclops as well. We're getting some attack availability updates here. Now, these are going to be harder to go through unless we end up getting an update from like PV Poke, or have somebody create a copy of it that we can access. But Ledian is getting Counter, which is good fighting type coverage to add to its Dynamic Punch, which I don't know if it really needed Counter, but it's interesting to say the least. Volt Switch on Forretress, I think, is one of the most interesting things in this, because Forretress has a very nice charge move pool, but it really suffers from having poor fast moves as Bug Bite and like Struggle Bug. So now that it's got Volt Switch, I feel like Forretress could be very usable, especially with the upcoming expectation of us having Halloween Cup, as this Halloween event is going to be within the next season. So very much expecting Forretress to make some huge waves in the Halloween Cup. So if you don't have one, I would definitely look to get one if you can. Breloom getting Force Palm is just replacing Counter. Hariyama getting Force Palm is replacing Counter. Mienshao, however, getting Force Palm on top of also getting some other moves that we're going to see shortly. I think Brutal Swing is one of them. Mienshao could actually be very interesting as it's getting Force Palm in this upcoming meta. It's not very good stat-wise, but the coverage of Force Palm and having some other coverage moves, like, or not the coverage of Force Palm, but it doesn't have a fighting type fast move yet. So having a fighting type fast move, very good for it. Clefable and Togetic and some other fairy types are going to be learning Draining Kiss. And what this is doing for them is it's giving them a cheaper fairy coverage move for better pacing. Togetic has Dazzling Gleam. Clefable has Moonblast. You know, Rabombi, I think, has also Dazzling Gleam. So that's also, you know, giving it some better options here, but that's not giving it better coverages. Now, Pangoro is getting Karate Chop, and I'm very excited about this. Karate Chop, as we talked about earlier, is going to be one of the biggest upcoming moves, basically taking the place of counter for anything that currently has Karate Chop, which currently the only things that have Karate Chop are just like Mankey Primeape, the Machop family, and the Magmar family. That's it. So other things having Karate Chop, and I'm sure that more things will get it as we come. Rollout is going to be given to Licky Licky, kind of giving it an alternative to like Miltank, for example, and Dunsparce. Rock Tomb is being given to Spiritomb, which previously only had ghost type coverage moves, so it's being given an extra different kind of move here. I like that they're giving, because Spiritomb also has Sucker Punch, so I feel like they're also giving us an alternative to running Sableye as the only dark and ghost type. So giving Spiritomb some moves that it can use is really interesting. Dusknoir is getting Shadow Punch, so that improved Shadow Punch is being added to its move pool here. Galarian Slowbro getting Brutal Swing. Tropius, Mienshao, Oranguru getting Brutal Swing. You might think that like Oranguru getting Brutal Swing is kind of dumb because it already is Foul Play, but think about the energy cost and confusion, right? So it'll be like 3 confusions to a Brutal Swing or something like that. It'll be really silly pacing for Oranguru to have that dark type coverage, which would be kind of nice for it. Passimian also getting Brutal Swing. Now, Passimian previously only had fighting type moves, so it's having a coverage move, which is kind of nice. Runerigus getting Brutal Swing. Hisuian Typhlosion getting Nightshade. Zorua and Zoroark getting Nightshade. And then we're also going to be seeing Hisuian Decidueye get Nightshade. Now, that's going to be the end of the move updates here. We have not yet gotten any information on like what cups are the schedule, so that's going to be coming out when the blog comes out, probably towards the end of the month. But I think it's absolutely impressive the amount of changes that we're going to be getting to the meta with this update. I think that over the time that we have these updates, it's going to be a very different meta. The core meta that is going to be in the Great League and even in the other leagues as well. You'll still see some Pokemon like Feraligatr will carry over, but a lot of Pokemon that were currently, you know, very dominant will definitely back off quite a bit. And we'll notice that there's actually quite a lot of things that like sort of beat Lickitung that are also getting buffs as well. So I really like that as well, because Lickitung didn't really get, you know, the Body Slam definitely got nerfed, and that's definitely a dig at Lickitung as well. But it also being slightly like nerfed in the fact that other things are being buffed to beat it, I think is amazing for this Great League. So they definitely did a very good job at shaking up the meta. I'm very interested to see how PvPoke and the rankings look. And as somebody who's working in the meta dev stuff for Battle Frontier for Show 6, Pick 3 team formats, we're going to be hard at work checking this stuff out. So I'm very, very interested to see what the little specifics and everything get changed here. But I hope that you guys are looking forward to this as much as I am. This is a very, very exciting update. I'm very much looking forward to it. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully we'll catch you on the watch parties too this weekend for Worlds. But thanks again. Bye.